I think the 7th gen doesn't get mentioned enough when people talk about generations of great JRPGs. People often talk the 16-bit era, PlayStation 1, and the 6th gen. Anyways, here are my 10 favorite JRPGs from the 7th gen. The World Ends With You felt very fresh for its time, with a modern Tokyo setting. Has a nice art style and goes for a 2D style that you still explore the Shibuya district, and besides just defeating enemies, there's all sorts of quests such as wearing the right fashion or acquiring badges. There's also quests where you use psychic abilities to influence people. The combat system involves 2 screens. You use the stylus on the touchscreen for Niku, and the character at the top screen, you use the D-pad and buttons. Story reminds me of Gantz, in which dead people are put into a game, and if they win, they can be brought back to life, but if they lose, they'll be erased from existence. And the bad entities in the game are called Reapers, who control the rules for the game. The game was an interesting and unique concept, and it's still a game you can enjoy if you play it now. At number 9, I have Key of Heaven. Also known as Kingdom of Paradise, this is a JRPG that's influenced by Chinese culture, and it's another 2D RPG. The battle system is interesting because the combos you can perform are actually done by finding scrolls, which is an interesting and unique concept. It's hack and slash, but you can spam magic as well. It's not a particularly hard game, but it's still a nice one. It has stunning scenery influenced by China, and the story has a bit of romance. The story isn't complex, but that's what I like about it. It's just a nice JRPG influenced by ancient China and beautifully presented. I'll let you watch a bit more footage for yourself to see what I mean.
Come on!
I no longer have my Wii copy of Xenoblade Chronicles, but I still have my copy of Xenoblade Chronicles free for Switch. Xenoblade Chronicles shows the right way to implement open world in a JRPG. Its open world gives a sense of scale. You feel small amongst the surroundings. Some of the creatures in the game are massive too. The game has a day-night system, some stunning landscapes and beautiful vegetation, and a nice mix of old world and futuristic structures. The battle system also received praise from the Western audience. The characters auto-attack, and it's just a matter of selecting the right special abilities, and you can see into the future, and you need to use that ability to avoid powerful attacks from enemies. The story also boded well with the Western audience because it's not the typical JRPG tropes. The story lets you figure out the backstory for yourself rather than being slow-paced. The game is more about the gameplay and exploration because you can spend countless hours just exploring the world. Its story is still great and has plot twists, but it's not convoluted like many JRPGs are, and the story moves at a nice pace. At number 8, I have Ni no Kuni. I no longer have my PS3 copy. Studio Ghibli is like Japan's version of Disney. Ghibli and Level 5 collaborated a wonderful JRPG in Ni no Kuni. Like many other Ghibli films, Ni no Kuni uses real-world issues and merges them with fantasy. There's some dark and emotional real-world issues that come into the story, but I won't go into them. Say the young boy Oliver enters a fantasy world and he has a companion in Mr. Drippy to help him on his quest. It's a typical save the world type thing, but it's just so charming and so nicely presented. The game has a bit of a Pokemon element where you can capture monsters and evolve them and use them as party members. The battle system has a bit of turn-based element, but a lot of real time as well. Oliver can run around in real time and use spells. Your party members take turns with an action window. You can perform a series of actions quickly. Different monsters you capture will have all sorts of different capabilities. The world is stunning to look at. The towns are colourful and the cell shading is beautiful. The puzzles also have good ways in they implement Oliver's ability in real time, kind of like a Zelda game sometimes. Other characters will help you out, of course. Anyways, this was one of my favourite 7th gen JRPGs, and even some of my friends whom were turned off by many JRPGs during the 7th gen loved this game.
Wow.
Tales of Symphonia, Dawn of a New World, and number 6 might surprise people, but I really love the game that much. To cut to the chase, I like the storytelling in the game, I like the characters, I love the way the towns look. There's beautiful seaside resorts, towns on mountains in the forest. People don't like the main character Emil because he's shy and timid at the start, but he later becomes very tough and I can relate to him, that's why I like him. The story has romance, a great battle system, and the game has some of the funniest story moments I've seen in a video game, such as when one of the female villains who likes to boss the men who work for her around shows up, and they told Emil she's a sadist, and Emil didn't know what a sadist means, and then when he saw that female villain he yelled out,
"What's going on
he's the sadist," and the female villain was stunned. The battle system is fun, it has difficulty spikes, but the boss battles are unpredictable. I think Richter is another great character in the story as well. And the game has a Pokemon element. You can capture and evolve monsters and use them as party members. This was one of the first games I got from the Wii and I loved it. Yes, I have played the first Tales of Symphonia game, I do like the sequel more. At number 5, I have Trails of Cold Steel 2. Yes, this is number 4 because I own Trails of Cold Steel 2 digitally. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to count Cold Steel 2 as a 7th gen game because it got released for the PlayStation 3 and the Vita at the same time in Japan. I actually bought the game digitally for my Vita, but many of my friends who don't own a Vita bought it for PlayStation 3 first because it came to PlayStation 3 before PlayStation 4. Anyways, it was one of the best JRPGs released around that period. Think of a Persona game, but with a more military theme. You can build relationships with characters, and you can create romance. The characters have personalities and deep past to learn about. The characters are interesting and likable in their own way, and they'll grow on you. It has a great turn-based battle system. The links, break status, and bonus points all add extra depth to the strategy. The game is very well presented with lovely anime scenes and lovely anime artwork. Cold Steel 4 is in my top 30 favourite games ever, but Cold Steel 2 helped lay the foundation for what made Cold Steel 4 great. Just like Trails of Cold Steel, Trails in the Sky is part of the Legend of Heroes series and made by the same developer. So you can expect a very character-driven experience and anime style. This game came out for PC first, late during the 6th gen, but PlayStation Portable was the first gaming system it came to. It has great world building. The story for the world is full of lore and history and detail. The characters are well developed and you really care about them. The story is very politically driven and character driven at the same time. The story does have romance, and yes, it's romance between a stepbrother and stepsister. It's a Japanese game. The detail in the world makes it feel living and breathing. The towns are charming. The battle system uses a grid-based system and is turn-based and has good strategic depth. And one feature with the battle system, you can interrupt enemy turns. I'm glad this game was remade for modern consoles, because it's a shame, unless you owned a PSP, you would have probably missed out on playing this game. At number 3, I have Valkyria Chronicles. Valkyria Chronicles has a great mixture of turn-based strategy and real time. The real time has you moving around the battlefield freely, but you can only have a certain amount of movement per turn. The turn-based is your standard dice roll and stat-based stuff. There's third-person shooter mechanics, as you can manually aim your weapons, and there's no guarantee you'll hit your target with some of your weapons because it depends on your stats and the enemy stats. There's cover mechanics which will reduce the amount of damage your units will take. You can also use vehicles, and you can use your vehicles as extra cover. The story is set in a fictional version of World War II, and it's an emotional story. You'll see the horrors of war, but with a more anime theme. The characters are likable and will grow on you. They start off as simple enough townsfolk, but they become battle hardened and mature over time. The characters have personality, there's romance in the story. Certain party members, ones that are not officers, can die, because there is a permadeath system where if one of your units is down, if you don't send another unit and rescue them by touching them, after so many turns, or if an enemy unit touches that unit, they will die. The visuals have a beautiful watercolor style. I've platinumed this game on PlayStation 4. I've got all the achievements for it on Steam. I've played through this game many times and I never grow bored of it. At number 2, I have Lost Odyssey. Lost Odyssey is a game from Final Fantasy creator Hironobu Sakaguchi. It's been described as having a very classic Final Fantasy style, but with 7th gen technology. The story is about a character who comes from another world, and he's lived for 1,000 years, and he has amnesia. It might sound generic, But what makes the story emotional is he will suddenly get some of his memories back piece by piece, and he will relive some very painful memories. I won't spoil them for you, but it can be regarding his wife that he forgot he had, his daughter, very painful experiences involving other people, and it's just the way the story is presented that makes it emotional, and the memories are often shown in a very delicate way. The gameplay is very much like Final Fantasy. There's a world map, it's turn-based strategy. There's a ring system, so you can do extra damage if you press on the ring command at the right time. Another interesting feature the battle system has is your immortal characters, which are the characters that come from another world, will automatically revive themselves during battle. However, the game is known for being difficult, especially the boss battles, so it's an interesting take. As you'd expect from me, the game has a love story. In fact, it has multiple romances, and one of them is the more lovey-dovey, light-hearted, heartwarming, and the other is a more emotional one involving Kame and his wife, who is also an immortal, and they've both forgotten each other, but are slowly regaining their memories. Just like modern Final Fantasy games, this game went for more realistic style visuals, so there's high production values, and the world has some beautiful scenery, some nice looking towns, some amazing rainfall effects and seaside areas, and great atmospheres. The game has random battles and the dungeons are tough. This is a game for more hardcore JRPG fans who love more classic style JRPGs. But it's a very emotional story, and it's a story that many people say they'll never forget. At number 1, I have The Last Story. Another game by Final Fantasy creator Hironobu Sakaguchi. In the game, the main characters are a group of mercenaries, and to cut to the chase, your party have so much chemistry between them because working as mercenaries, they don't know if they're going to die on the job today or will they have a job and will have money to buy food tomorrow. So some of the warmest moments in the game are when the characters are in the pub enjoying a drink, just living one day at a time. The story, it doesn't try too hard to pad itself out, which is what I like. Yes, in the end you're trying to save the world against bad guys, but the story has genocide in it and racism, but it's not real world politics, so you don't need to worry about agendas. It's racism involving non-humans. There's multiple romances in the game, and I like how this game has a mature love story that's presented very delicately, and you see the chemistry between Zael and Lady Callista build over time. The battle system, it's an action
They call it a meteor
one,
shower.
but it has cover mechanics,
My
third
father
person
taught me that when we came here
shooter
together.
mechanics. By action, I also meant action hack and slash. There's squad-based mechanics. You can position your units before battles, and there's also stealth mechanics and instant takeouts of enemies. There's also a spell circle feature where you use the Wii's motion controls, and in tough boss battles, the spell circle mechanic makes things intense, but I think in a good, exciting way. The visuals go for a murky feel, but I don't mind it. There's some beautiful scenery in the game. Then goes for a British London style setting, I guess you can call it. There's beautiful music in the game as well. It's not a long game. You'll probably easily beat it under 30 hours. But during chapters, you can choose which quest to take, and that adds some replay value as you can play the game multiple times and get a different experience. As I said, this is a game I can relate to. I guess you could call it a very blue-collar feeling, the feeling of living day to day and you don't know what happens next, so you just try to enjoy the moment. There's not much else to add, but I'll say this is my number 2 favorite game of all time after Final Fantasy X. And as for why this game wasn't more popular, people say maybe due to marketing and this game just didn't find an audience. It came out very late during the 7th gen and right when at the end of the Wii's lifespan, right before the Wii U was due to come out. But if you have any interest in JRPGs and emotional storytelling, you really need to play this game, especially if you love character-driven stories. For honourable mention number 1, I have Nier. Very emotional story with great plot twists and great ideas for a battle system and incredible music. People still listen to its soundtrack until today, including me. For honourable mention number 3, Final Fantasy Crisis Core. If you love Final Fantasy VII, you need to play it. It's a prequel to Final Fantasy VII.
For the planet Eos. After certain events happen, all the vessels crash land on the planet Eos. You set out on a rescue mission to find more survivors when it's and set off for the planet Eos. After certain events happen, all the vessels crash land on the planet Eos. You set out on a rescue mission to find more survivors when an advanced alien race called the Eldarians show up to assist you. They repair and upgrade your vessel, which you are then promoted to captain and tasked to explore the other planets in the area. As Star Ocean: The Last Hope progresses, you find out that unnatural advances in science is causing severe consequences in the universe. The battle system is a variation of the linear motion battle system that has a blindside mechanic that allows you to flash behind your enemies to take the upper hand.
That wraps up this video. Take care.